The Dark Knight Rises.
You cannot tell me. Even after watching it, I was like, there's still problems with it.
No, there are problems with it. But if you compare it to other superhero movies,
that's fair. Oh, listen, I'll give you.
It's not. Look, there's a definitive. There's the Dark for me. There's Dark Knight. There's Batman Begins.
I'm laughing because this is a conversation we have all the goddamn time.
And then below that is The Dark Knight Rises.
See, I put The Dark Knight Rises along with like the upper tier Marvel movies.
I do too.
Yeah,
I do too. But my point is, that's how much ahead the other two are.
That's true, and that's fair. But for me,
and I don't want to say ahead because I do think like there are certain Marvel movies. And I think you do have to throw in, to me, I think the second Spider-Man is still, like, you know, I have that one.
Well, again, you have to put Spider-Verse in there.
Yes, and I always leave that one out because I don't think about it. But Spider-Verse is also in that conversation. There's like the upper tier Marvel movies. There's the second Raimi Spider-Man. There's Into the Spider-Verse. Are all up there with The Dark Knight Rises, but the other two Dark Knight movies are above the rest, at least for me.
But while watching this one, the story of Bruce Wayne is cool. To see like an old kind of grizzled Batman is kind of an interesting take. But for me, the person that I'm just constantly like, I just kind of want to watch him the whole time is Bane. I wanted to watch Tom Hardy as Bane like the whole time.
Yeah.
Much like kind of similar feelings you have when you're watching the Joker in The Dark Knight. And
Tom Hardy's really good now.
He's awesome.
He's very good.
And he has some of those, much like how the Joker has quotes that you want to quote. Bane has those, not the same amount as the Joker, not as iconic, but he has some awesome ones. Like you noticed when we were watching it, I kept quoting him before he said it. Like but he's stellar in it. But this one. While I appreciate the villain's plan, where it's just, I mean, it's kind of like where the Joker wants like true chaos. Bane was like organized chaos, almost. You know, like
Bane didn't really even want chaos. I mean, he was there to finish Ra's al Ghul's mission.
Yeah, where it was just give power back to the people, but like it was chaos. I mean, all you saw was just like. Basically prisoners taking over and shit like that.
Yeah, so, but his plan was to blow up the entire city.
Which he almost did. This is the main problem I have.
Basically what Ra's al Ghul's plan was to kill everyone.
No, I know. But this is where my problem is with the movie, is the Marion Cotillard character.
That's, to me, take her character out completely.
Well, no, I did not mind... Talia al Ghul coming back to basically avenge her father's death. I totally understand it. I get it. I even liked the twist where it was her and she was the one that climbed out of it. Like, I
agree. Yes, I liked all of it. But I'm saying, like, her character doesn't affect the story too much, even though that twist and that stuff is cool.
The twist. I hated that she like started a romantic relationship with Bruce, and the fact that she kept it like under wraps. I would have preferred like her revealing that she was Talia al Ghul like a little earlier on.
Yeah, we talked about it. Like maybe even when when Bane breaks Batman's
back. Yeah,
if she was there.
I don't know why
it would have been weird saying they had literally just slept together.
Yeah, but then it's like, again, it goes back to like the whole romantic relationship I didn't quite agree with, because what they were trying to show was that like Bruce was trying to get over Rachel. Yeah. Clearly, he's still. I mean,
I understood her being undercover so that she could figure out where the device was. Mm-hmm.
But the moment she figured it out, it's like, fuck it. Like, she
no longer needed Bruce anymore after that.
And that's where it was...
Or anybody.
See, like, and these are problems in this movie, right? Where something I really complain about, we're in the first two, there's just not a whole lot you can complain about.
Yeah.
Like, things you complain about are so small, where this is a major plot point where it's like, it wasn't. It wasn't quite. It just wasn't quite needed, or it should have gone about a different way.
Yeah.
That being said, much like how the first one opens up with an amazing scene with the second one, Dark Knight, opens up with an amazing scene where it's the bank heist. This one's on par. The whole plane hijacking is awesome, and it's such an amazing introduction to Bane because you have a feeling of what this character brings.
And then you think the best part about it to me was that he's almost like a mercenary, and then he's got the guy that sacrifices.
That's what I was about to say. It gives you an idea of how powerful he is because he's he's physically powerful,
yeah.
But then it shows off that he's smart because he organized this whole thing, and then he told the guy, they expect one of us in the wreckage,
yeah.
And the guy was like, okay, and you're like, this guy is able to convince.
And there wasn't even an argument.
No, there was no what about, it wasn't what about Jimmy? Like, Jimmy's shitty, I do all the work. No, it was just okay,
yes, sir.
Yeah. And that right there, you're like, Bane is powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, from then on, there were so many moments like that, where they're in the sewer and he shoots the guy and he goes, now you're going to pick his pockets and then I'm going to shoot you. He was fucking ruthless. And and it helps that Tom Hardy was a fucking walking muscle. He just seemed so physically imposing. But man, that was the sad thing about this movie for me is because it started out and I was like, we're about to get The Dark Knight again. It's going to be a masterpiece again. And then there were some problems.
But again, when we say there are problems, it's only in compared to the first two.
Yeah.
Because if you take it in as the way...
I don't know. The death scene of Marion Cotillard was... That literally felt like...
It felt like Roger dying in American Dad.
It felt like Marion Cotillard went to Chris and was like, I've got 2 seconds to film this scene. And then she half sneezed but tried to save the scene. And then Chris was like, cut, that's all we got. And because that's what it looked like. She said something, I forgot exactly what she said, and then she's like, eh. And then it was like, what the fuck was that? That's an Academy Award winner. And she's stellar, almost, and she's good in this part. The whole part in general is good, but her death scene is pathetic.
I hated the way Bane died.
Oh my god, that was another thing where, and it didn't help because much like I said, he was the most captivating part of the movie for me, and I wanted him to have a very kind of satisfying death, or if he wasn't gonna die, somehow he'd get captured. Whatever. For showing how he broke Batman's back. He was going toe-to-toe with Batman until Batman did kind of defeat him. But then he was put back together. His mask was put back together, so he was fine. And for him to just die by getting shot by a bike, that infuriated me too, because it was that is so unsatisfying. That almost felt like Tom Hardy had somewhere where he had to go, and they ran out of shooting days for him. And they were like, okay, we're just going to have to kill you this way.
Yeah.
God, I mean, how unsatisfying is that?
I remember walking out when I saw it in theaters, and what I remember about going to see this is I went to go see it at midnight. And coming out, the news broke.
I forgot about that. Yeah. No, I remember it was like 3 a.m. Mm-hmm. I saw it, at the local AMC, and everyone was like, holy shit. There was
the mass shooting in Colorado.
And it's nuts to think about that.
That changed the way. It was the last time there were midnight movies.
This was the last midnight premiere I went to. And I have to say, I miss them. I mean, we go to premieres. We go to the 7 o'clock or the 8 o'clock showings, but it's not the same. People camping out in line. Some people had coolers of beer.
Yeah.
People dressed up crazily. It was just such madness, and it was so much fun.
Going to it was an event.
Mm-hmm.
You had to show up, especially for big movies like that. You had to 10 o'clock. You had to show up at 10 o'clock to get a decent seat.
And there were people. There was no reserving seats. It was
and guys, we we live in a college town.
Yeah.
Just so you know that. So you're going to have a little bit more people willing to do this kind of thing than you do.
It was
It was interesting. Midnight movies were just fun.
They were so fun.
And this was the last one.
This was the last one. This was the last one I attended.
Well, it was the last. Didn't they canceled midnight movies?
Well, yeah.
For midnight, show opening night, they used to not have 7 o'clock on Thursdays.
Well, I remember Dark Knight Rises had a 10 o'clock showing because I remember running into a friend that I was like, "How'd you get the 10 o'clock?" He was like, "I don't know, I just got it," and he told me, he was like, "Yeah, it's good." He was telling me that was good. And there was, I don't know if you remember that, I don't know if it was AMC or Regal or whatever, they had a whole thing where you could show up at noon and see all 3 of them back to back to back, which I remember thinking I might.
Oh, I remember we discussed it. But then we were
such a time commitment.
Yeah, man. That's a lot. But we discussed it because it would have been cool to see them all back to back to back.
How do you feel? Overall grade? What would you give this?
No, we didn't even. Anne Hathaway. What did you think of her as Catwoman?
She's good. I'm telling you, the real only problems I had were the Marion Cotillard kind of storyline. I thought all the acting. I thought this was one of, I would say, Christian Bale's best turn as Batman or Bruce Wayne. You really got his kind of emotional depth in this one. Michael Caine in the couple brief scenes at the end is really, really good. But Anne Hathaway, I wouldn't say she stole the show because I thought Bane did, but Anne Hathaway was great.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt?
Solid. I mean, he was fine. He played the police officer that was trying to do everything.
And they kind of set him up to be Robin, which didn't make a whole lot of sense, book-wise.
Didn't care for that one.
To me, that whole aspect felt forced.
Mm-hmm.
And and the reason I say it felt forced was because at this point, Marvel had already started, and it was they needed to. I feel like they thought about maybe doing a universe where Joseph Gordon-Levitt was going to play Batman, and then they just decided. Warner Brothers decided to go a completely different direction.
Which is, I mean, I would have been down, I guess, for just.
I don't think any. I mean, again, I haven't really read the comics. I don't think any of the Robins actually have Robin in their name. So.
That's true. Yeah, that was what I hated the most. I would have
liked Grace. There's several of them. There's 5 of them.
I would have liked if they said you should use your real name, like Richard Grayson or something like that. And it's oh man, that's. But you should use your real name. I like that, Robin. And I was like, that's in the final 2 seconds of the movie.
After you already know that,
that made it just kind of made me mad.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, the movie I thought would have ended perfectly. I mean, it ended really well. I love the whole thing where Michael Caine, he was in France, right? Mm-hmm. He's in France. He goes, "I want to look over at a table and I see you with wife and kids," and he does.
Well, not kids, but
with a wife. He said family.
Yeah.
With a wife, and it's Anne Hathaway, which would be good for Bruce Wayne. But I would have preferred it if they didn't show Christian Bale.
You know what I think?
I would have liked it if Michael Caine just nodded and smiled.
I feel like there was so much discussion over Inception.
Oh,
and the uncertainty there.
That's
that
fair.
Warner Brothers was
we have to talk about that too. He made arguably one of the best movies of the 2010s in between The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises. But you're right. Inception had such ambiguity behind the ending that I'm sure Nolan and Warner Brothers you have to give a definitive ending to Bruce Wayne, and which sucks because I personally would have preferred the ending where it just shows Michael Caine smiling and nodding, because that's something that I actually kind of did get. I remember getting a little emotional at because I was like, that's so awesome that they. I mean, it was obvious that they set it up early on in the movie, but it was satisfying to see it for that to play out.
Yeah,
for sure.
That he gave Anne Hathaway the pearls that had the tracker in it, and they set up the fact.
Which Dom Toretto, he did that in Furious 8. Let's just say who did it better, Dom Toretto. No, but I overall though I do like this movie. It was nice to rewatch it. I hadn't seen it in a little while, and
To me, honestly, though, my complaints about it, even though we just talked about our complaints about it for most of this video, the more and more I watch it, the less and less my complaints actually bother me.
They're about the same.
See, to me, when I walked out of the theater, I walked out going, "Oh, this was just an okay movie."
I thought it was a satisfying conclusion.
And I told you that I didn't see it for like 3 or 4 years after it came out.
Right.
Because I remember I was like, "Hey, it's okay." And then I had like a weekend where I watched one right after another. Not like one right after another, but it was like Friday, Saturday, Sunday type deal. And I watched all 3 of them, and I was like, "Oh no, The Dark Knight Rises is pretty good." And we watched it again.
It's in
and
comparison.
I'm like,
that's all. And when you compare it to the other two, it's just not as good.
Rewatched it again this time, and I was like, "No, it is really good." And to me, my biggest complaints are, I mean, for me, the biggest one is the Marion Cotillard character. Just because what she's doing in the final 2/3 of, like, the first
final half, really.
Yeah, the first half makes sense because she's trying to get information. And you're like, okay, I get it, but why play this out even after you think? Because Bane's in complete shock to see Batman again.
Mm-hmm.
So they truly thought they had left him for dead in this prison with a broken back.
I love this. I love that whole sequence, though.
No, it's great. But if he and her were so dead set,
they thought he was gone, she would have just revealed herself at that point.
And especially
which she
since she had no other reason to be in hiding.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Like, she had at that point, there was no reason for her to be in hiding, not unless they truly thought Batman was coming back, but by Bane's reaction, they clearly didn't think he was coming back.
No. And that's,
I mean, the only reason...
That's a problem. That's definitely a problem.
The only reason she would have stayed in hiding is if they were like... They were expecting his return.
Mm-hmm.
It was just... That was kind of odd. Her death is strange, but you just kind of accept it. The Bane death infuriated me way more than her death.
No.
And I say infuriate... It's one of those things...
Bane's death, I have a problem with plot-wise, where it's like, how dare you write his death like that? Yeah. Shot by Catwoman. Marion Cotillard's death's more like, that's just shit acting. I mean, basically, I probably could have done the equivalent, you know? So, it's so bad. I personally, I think I would give this a B+. I think I give this a B+.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I give it an A-.
Okay.
I give it an A-.
See, and the sad thing is I'm sitting there like, I give it a B+. B+ is still really good.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's still a good movie, but it's, when you look at the scope of the whole trilogy, it's just nowhere near as good as the first two. Just nowhere near.
Agreed.
Yeah. I mean, that's our take on the whole Dark Knight trilogy.
Would you say it's the best trilogy of all time?
Of all genres?
1, 2, and 3.
1, 2.
Top to bottom.
I would have put Toy Story before the fourth one.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe. Honestly, maybe. Yeah. I mean, obviously there's the obvious ones. There's the Lord of the Rings. There's Star Wars, but from the OG Star Wars. Mm-hmm. But from a personal perspective, Toy Story is now 4. I would probably.
I know it's blasphemy for the Lord of the Rings, but to me, I just enjoy these movies more.
Yeah, no, for sure. I definitely enjoy the Dark Knight trilogy.
I appreciate Peter Jackson's filmmaking of Lord of the Rings, but this is just...
I like the Batman stories more than Lord of the Rings. But yeah, that's all we got on the Dark Knight trilogy. Yeah, catch us next time with
our take.
With our take, sorry.